And thank you for joining us here for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. And we come together each month to share our light and to listen to another monthly energy update from Michael. And you're welcome to watch these free live streams on our website or our YouTube channel. And for those of you who speak other languages besides English, YouTube allows you to use an auto translate feature on their player. So if you're on our website, you might want to head over to there. There's a link right below the video. And for those of you that are on Facebook, we'll be posting the recording of today's episode later today. So wherever you call home, we invite all of you to feel into the energies that are here today. There is, of course, Michael's presence. So many of you know him as the Archangel Michael. Some of you have called him Saint Michael, others Lord Michael. I've never called him Lord Michael, and we have a little game about all the terms that are used to describe him. But he has a long history of supporting this human experience. In fact, there are probably more statues and paintings of him than just about any other angelic being on this planet. But today, if we were to paint such a picture, you would probably notice that something is missing. Yes, of course, whatever happened to the sword? So his support has shifted because we have changed. But one thing hasn't shifted. One thing hasn't changed at all. Michael doesn't spend much time sharing his own unique perspective by skirting on the surface. He really prefers just to go straight to the core of who we are. And we know this approach doesn't resonate with everyone. So we are deeply honored by the choice so many of you have made to stop responding to all these internal mind games so as to have the clarity to reclaim something new, your divine heritage. But now, as a sovereign creator of your own experience, it represents such a rare choice, both on and off of this planet. But within that choice, all the internal battles, all the conflicted energies, what happens? What have you noticed is happening? Well, they begin to surface, not to torment us. Although I get it, it can feel like they are. They surface for the opportunity to consciously be set free. Some of those energies represent many of your past lifetimes, and some of them are from your future. So when we embrace this unique opportunity, our relationship to our inner and outer reality starts to shift big time. Call it whatever you want. But this is not something that the human self, the human identity, the human personality can work with by itself. It needs to rely more and more on your soul for its guidance and support. And when you look at some of the more traditional spiritual institutions on this planet, not too many subscribe to being sovereign for a lot of reasons, but mainly, at least from our perspective, because it isn't very profitable. And I know that can sound pretty harsh, but if you look at some of these institutions more as a business model, well, it makes a lot of sense, because guilt and shame sell a lot more tickets. So today, We once again thank all of you for trusting in that part of yourself that simply knows without knowing how it knows, that at the core of your soul, you are indeed the divine incarnate. And even if that doesn't look that way or feel that way in this present moment, this lifetime is your opportunity to reclaim it. And as that relates to this human experience, so many people find themselves acting as a chameleon for what has been passed down for generations. A variety of outdated thoughts and beliefs that support a perception that would have us believe that we are not divine. And of course, there are also those parts inside of us that question if such a thing is even real. Given that we have what? Well, so few living examples. But if that part of you, the part that celebrates life, wasn't real, then humanity wouldn't have created so many museums which honor the free-flowing expression of our human spirit. So our service is to help you to reclaim the same freedom for yourself as it relates to the presence of your soul, which also happens to be, well, multi-dimensional and multifaceted, which of course opens up a whole new can of worms as it relates to traditional psychology. So as crazy as it might sound or appear, speaking on behalf of what is natural to all of us, sharing this natural state of being has become my passion. And as you're feeling the growing intensity of the times all of us are living in, and let's not deny the fact that it's really intense. It's no accident that all of you are here on this planet at this time. The family of humanity put out a call for help long ago, hoping that somebody out there was listening. Millions of soul beings have responded to that call every single lifetime. But Earth is a really tough place to live. It's not so easy once you're here with your feet firmly on this physical reality. It's not so easy to maintain a connection with your soul, surrounded by countless distractions from both the collective consciousness of this human family and a very, very dense energy field that represents and is a byproduct of this family state of consciousness, making it really hard for those non-physical versions of yourself to reconnect with you, and vice versa. And yet, here we are. Once again, despite all of that, shining your light to the best of your ability, acting as a mobile lighthouse, and with the presence of Michael serving all of us by acting as a guide, at least for those of you that resonate with what we are sharing. Because when we break down the barriers of separation within ourselves, it greatly impacts how we relate to other beings, both human and otherwise. And as we look at the world around us, right now, Is it not time, my friends, to try something new? Perhaps now would be a good time to acknowledge the addiction as a human family to playing all these power games. No matter what role you're playing, both as the oppressor and whatever role we played as the victim, it's not an easy thing to own. I get it. And one of the first realizations that begin to surface when you take that deep dive inside your own self are all the ways different parts of ourself really enjoy the battle itself against what appears to be outside of us. It's as if we become seduced by a perception of reality that mimics our physical body's own immune system, fighting against each other like a germ in the name of power and control. So the whole notion that, well, all is indeed well from a spiritual perspective seems a little far-fetched at times. We get it. I first heard that term being used in a children's book cover over 30 years ago. Such a innocent phrase can have a really profound impact on the quality of our own life. If we're trying or we've been relying on a perception to support us that has separated us from our divine lineage. And as we begin to integrate those parts that are indeed divine, we start to see that it is the perception itself that was false. It is the perception itself that created all the problems. It started to define who we are. So we have the honor of serving those who have the courage to look within, acknowledging both those false perceptions and that part of us that just is, which inspires us to stop doing battle with the projections of those false perceptions. So on that note, I invite all of you to take a very deep breath here today. As we woke up this morning, noticing the daffodils opening up, feeling as if, wow, spring is just around the corner, only an hour later to have some unexpected snow to come down, which of course by now has all melted, revealing once again the beauty of the daffodils. But I invite you every time we come together this way to take that conscious deep breath, because it creates an opening in yourself to receive with all your heart what is being shared here now. Michael shares his presence to remind you that your own soul is also sharing its light. The words that we're using here are but a distraction for your mind. It is the energy behind these words that are communicating right now as we speak with your heart to allow you to feel the very presence of your own soul. Every time we gather like this, Michael invites your soul and its oversoul to join us. And because of the role I am playing as a witness to what is transpiring here today, well, to me, I feel like I've got the best seat in the house because I get to see and feel all of you begin to lower your defenses and begin to allow what is naturally yours to receive, just as you are right now. Your own unique divine nature. This is not something you have to earn. This is your birthright. Nobody can take it from you, unless, of course, you don't want to own it. So let's take another deep breath. As I, Robert, step aside once again to demonstrate the natural relationship between you as a human, your own soul, and your oversoul, which is available to every single one of you. And allow Michael then to step forward. Yes, indeed, I have. It is I, Michael, having stepped forward, and yes, without the sword. It is indeed an honor for me to be with all of you in this way. I can clearly see and feel your own presence expressing itself in the form of energy. But for a lot of you, your human self only knows me based on whatever story you've read or whatever channel you happen to be listening to. But that has dramatically changed over the years, as so many of you started to reclaim your natural ability to perceive your reality from a more intuitive perspective, which offers you a much wider view of those worlds that do exist inside of you. The family of humanity has been stuck inside a very limited framework for a very long time. You, all of you, know that firsthand. But this isn't a reflection on the natural state of being human. Not at all. Humanity cut itself off from what is freely available to every single being, in the same way that a lot of creation has done just the same. Some of you think these conflicts between people and countries are limited to this human family, but they are not. They would not exist here if they didn't also exist in the other realms. In a way, so many of you were willing to incarnate on this planet in this form one last time, because yes, indeed, you heard or felt the cry for help. But you have also responded to that plea for help many, many times before, only to discover a great deal of resistance to what could help to relieve the pain and the struggle. So in this lifetime, you did something new, something different. You placed all the cards on the table. You played the wild card right from the start by revealing what was in your hand for all to see. But it's difficult for others to see what you were sharing or even believe that it's real when this human family is constantly distracted from cleaning up the mess created by so many others. A mess that's left behind every single time from so many power players playing power games. It's like the game itself feeds itself simply by creating more conflicts. It really doesn't matter who wins or loses, as long as there are players willing to play the game. So what needed to be done without getting pulled into the game itself? We needed some souls who were willing to take a deep dive inside of themselves, which has humbled quite a few of you. Indeed, it has. Because it's not an easy thing to do, is it? That deep dive in yourself, here you face a tremendous degree of resistance to go within, both from those conditioned parts of your human self and from the influence you feel every single day from the collective consciousness on this planet. But that didn't stop a lot of you that are watching this show. You knew you had to allow a part that existed inside of you to now step forward. A part that didn't play these kind of games, but at first had to be real to you. Such a presence had to become a part of this physical experience. No more concepts. No more philosophy. If indeed there exists inside of all of you a part that does know that all is well, despite what you perceive all around you, then you demanded that such a part reveal itself to you in a more intimate, intangible way. But did it? Did it? Of course not. It doesn't respond to demands. So you changed your strategy. What would entice such a presence to play a part as a human being? All of you, including my partner here, Robert, had exhausted all other attempts but one. But one. So eventually, you embraced the art of allowing. You decided to allow your soul to play a part with you. And what did you notice the moment you did allow? Indeed, your soul's presence started to emerge from within. But it also triggered all of your human safety issues, did it not? Is it not still doing that? There were parts of you that didn't feel comforted by what you were allowing, even though the energy itself was very uplifting. There were parts of you that felt exposed, that felt vulnerable. It's why we invite all of you to use the 3 A's on a daily basis. Acknowledge what's going on, accept it completely so as not to get pulled into it, and then allow the light of your soul to transform that energy for your human part. To transform all those conflicted emotional issues that interfere with your natural ability to perceive what? That indeed all is well. At least it can be inside your own reality. And if not, for all the inner work so many of you have done over the last, well, for some of you, 30 to 50 years, combined with every other lifetime, more than likely, right now, you would be reacting once again. To what? Well, of course, to today's current power players playing more power games. But you recognize that the game itself in a way, is a violation to the rights of all beings. So how does one change a reality that supports itself from playing these games? Well, if you're using the very presence of consciousness, what have you discovered there? Indeed, you can't force anyone to change, but you can inspire them. By doing what? Well, by not doing anything. Simply allow the radiance of your light to shine. As Michael, I could come here today and demand that all of you change your ways right now, or you're going to pay the consequence of that. And I promise you, over 99.9% of you would clearly tell me where to stick it. But my radiance isn't speaking to your mind, at least not at first. My light is going straight to your heart. And there are more human beings on this planet right now that are open to feeling how the light of consciousness communicates than ever before. Almost 80% of those watching this show can feel my light inspiring you to do what? To go deeper. To reclaim your freedom to experience your natural state. All of you recognize how conflicted and divided this human family has become. And because of that, you don't have to be a psychic to feel that the potential for battle is always just around the corner. But like my light, your radiance can help to diffuse these acts of violence by inspiring the human heart to pause and reconsider those conditioned responses. But for that to be real, it is vital for all of you, if indeed it is your light that you are serving, to now be on this planet, grounded in your physical body, but not of it. Meaning that you don't react to the choices humanity does or doesn't make. You're not here at this time to serve your own agenda or your expectations, but there are also parts of you that find this approach that we are sharing of not doing really, really boring, unproven. Where's the drama? Some of those parts are asking. How many movies from Hollywood, and we'll talk about the current one at the end of today's show, would ever reach the screen if the main topic of any of these movies was all is indeed well? Your light has the potential to inspire this human family to declare what? To declare that enough is enough. That doesn't mean humanity needs to march in the streets demanding that their voice be heard, but many will act on that in that way. The real change always starts from within. It starts with each of you demanding that your own voice be heard, not by others, but while looking in the mirror. And beyond that, while talking to family members, a marriage partner, a fellow employee or employer. Yes, eventually It all turns inward. Eventually, there's no need to confront anyone. But the vast majority of human beings aren't quite ready for that. But enough are. If those that are representing themselves as children today, these, my friends, are your new leaders. They're not looking for followers. They're looking for those that are willing to act on behalf of the sacredness within all life. So many of you have survived countless battles and countless lifetimes. It's hard for any of you to remember a time when humanity wasn't in battle mode. It's become so ingrained that your human self just takes it for granted. Most of you, your dreams are filled with battle. But these battles would not exist here if they also didn't exist in the other realms. The power players that I see here are the same ones doing battle in the stars. This is why Earth was created, to create a safe place in a far distant galaxy, to inspire you, to change the role all of you were playing in our cosmic story. And now that so many of you have, simply by allowing that divine part of you that resides inside of you to now step forward. It creates a shift in how the energy has been flowing on and off of this planet. It has inspired many beings to question their own reality, as that relates to this whole separation theme that has been going on for a very, very long time. You can feel something new unfolding inside of you when you're not distracted by all the drama that surrounds you. And so many of you, despite what is going on this planet, you've now taken ownership of what? Of your own inner reality. And that changes everything in ways that now allow you to experience that you are now consciously, truly creating your own reality. So, my friends, this is not the time to hide your head in the sand. This is not the time to refrain from what brings you joy. This is the time to join me as one being to another, to have the courage to do what? Indeed, lay your sword down. Put it away. Realizing that the battle itself could only be fought if your perception of yourself was actually real. And what did you discover when you allowed what is never conflicted to reveal itself to you? Indeed, the separation itself is but an illusion. You are indeed the divine incarnate. But owning that, not so easy. And neither is denying it. Let's take a deep breath. So where does that leave us? Where do we go from here? Every time we gather like this, does it not feel like a homecoming? Are you going home? Or did you discover that very presence that you call home, the kingdom, was deep inside of you? Does that not create a joy to go within yourself, knowing that your original home is inside of you? But once this session ends, then what? What do you do with yourself when all the support that is here today begins to shift, begins to change? Well, if you've been following our work, you already know the answer. You simply stop. You stop doing life. Before you start to do anything, you make sure you're feeling your being part. It is this part that knows without a doubt that indeed all is well. And of course, that statement tends to be always met with how. How does one be? Well, that too, when you stop and shift your attention from your thinking process to your being part, because that part of you that is always thinking is also constantly processing what just happened. Yesterday just keeps repeating itself for that part, constantly processing those unresolved emotional issues, thereby rarely allowing a fresh new moment to reveal itself. How does one do that? Well, we recommend as a tool to use your breath as a way to help guide you back to your being part. First, by breathing your soul back into your life, into your experience. But the real change happens when you start to breathe as your soul. Once you're there, then all the tools, all the practices you have used just naturally fall away. They served you very well. But if you can't stop practicing them, that is a sign that your doing part is back in the driver's seat. Once again, convincing you that it's the practice of doing something that will change your life. So, not doing will set your mind free to play the part it was designed to play. Its natural role is to serve the heart of your soul. Its natural role is in service to being you. And you, my friends, at the end of the day, will always be a part of the original self, revealing itself, if you allow it, as being you too. These next 2 or 3 decades represent the change all of you in every single lifetime and well before Earth was ever created have been waiting for. It's been that long. At this time, though, on this planet, the tipping point of balance keeps shifting. You don't need a psychic to tell you how polarized, how divided this human family has become. The divisions are so ingrained, it's hard for most humans to see beyond them. So your light is needed now more than ever. Now do your part by being who you truly are, and let your radiance lighten the hearts and inspire the mind of this human family to do what? Well, initially, to just stop. Dear humanity, stop fighting other people's battles for them. They were never yours to fight. And we can already hear the complaints. Dear Michael, not doing anything doesn't change anything. It just allows the power players more freedom to keep fighting. Really? Really? We don't see any of them on the battlefield joining hands with the others. So try it and see what happens in your own personal life. No matter the state of your current reality, both for yourself and this human family. The solution has always been within. Another deep breath. The light of your soul, when you're not doing life, has a very unique quality to it. The light of your soul has no conditions, no agenda. It simply radiates, allowing any being to be touched or not. And from our perspective, we don't see any possibility that this human family, with your light shining, turning its back on the opportunity that now exists right in front of them. Oh, it might be a really bumpy ride during the next 2 or 3 days, weeks, months, years. No, decades. 2 or 3 decades. And most certainly very bumpy during this year. But there are also more heart-centered human beings on this planet than ever before. And because of that, the family of humanity is beginning to choose life. That is all that was ever required. And now the energies that support such a choice are also here to serve you. On that note, we know what we are inviting you to experience is not even an option for most human beings. We know, we are well aware, it sounds more like a fairy tale than reality. So all of you have given it your best to try and change the hearts and minds of this human family and all the power players. But it just left you feeling what? It left you feeling hopeless and confused. But there is another way. It represents a reality that doesn't play power games. And because it is so new to most beings on and off of this planet, it falls on your lap to make it real. Not just as a hope, not just because you're willing to dream about it, not because you're willing to entertain mental concepts or ideas. You represent a living example of a state of consciousness that doesn't play these games. And then to make it real by calling it your life. We know it makes your human self feel even more exposed, more vulnerable. But, and this is a big but, it also allows your divine nature to now exist in the front of your life. It doesn't suddenly give you the ability to ride giant worms in the desert. It doesn't grant you the right to carry a lightsaber, but it does reconnect you with a new sense of power called joy and passion. A life that is now free of drama. How rare is that? We are deeply honored to serve those who have a passion to make that real. And we are very much looking forward to serving all of you in our next gathering. And until then, stop listening to your mind chatter for guidance and support. Why? Because if you haven't discovered yet, your mind is deluded. Indeed, it's time to start feeling the heart of your soul singing its own song. Be well, my friends. As best that you can, let's enjoy the ride. Indeed.